Peace, light, and love. And today, a new vlog item. Well, how could I not have stuck my nose into somebody else's business and given a comment on the royal British family? Yeah, she looks like a corgi, doesn't she?
Not really, Mommy.
Okay. So let's pretend they're Meghan. This couple is Meghan and Harry. She sort of has long hair. So why do people like to stick their business into other people's business? Especially public figures. Wow, that's a good question. So why do I allow myself to speak about the British royal family? Shosha, you may ask, or Shelby, the corgi, almost corgi. I have a British aunt, yes. I have British cousins. And so I'm sort of British by association. And I speak English. That's something to do with the English, right? You know the difference between British and English, right? I hope you do. Anyway, so let's focus on Meghan. Oh, just as we speak, there's a male and female duck coming this way. Meghan and Harry, the hot topic of the internet. So I'd like to address two issues. One is the Christmas card. What does it say when somebody sends you a photo? It was beautiful, artistic, but it is their backside. It's sort of like we're turning our backs to the world, right, Shosha? This is the message given, like Shosha. So I sent him, yeah, they don't even look back. It's different, like Shosha, can you show again? It's different if you have your back like that and you look, Shosha. That's, yeah, you see, that's like shows, hey, everybody. But if you have your back, it sort of shows, leave me alone sort of message, or it's just me, or there's two people, just me and you against the world. That's what the message is. I wouldn't say that's a very nice message, but it is honest, because that's what the message a lot of us out there observing Meghan and Harry, these are the Meghan and Harry ducks, get, that they don't really care about other people except themselves. And so now the newest item is that Harry is not going to be attending the hunting, what is this animal? There's this bird, the pheasant, shooting of the pheasant. Now, if there's somebody who hates hunting more than me, I'd like to see them. There is nobody in this planet who detests hunting, the whole idea of hunting, more than me. However, I did sort of give a thumbs up to Mark Zuckerberg when he said, I only eat the meat I hunt. And that exposes the hypocrisy of people who say, oh, we don't like to see animals suffer, and yet they don't mind going to the supermarket and getting a dead animal packaged in nylon, plastic wrap. That's okay. Yeah, with a picture of a grilled chicken, sometimes smiling, that's okay. But to hunt seems very cruel. Well, guess what? That's what people did before they started farming. People would just hunt. So it is a tradition, just like bar mitzvah is a tradition, and confirmation in the church is a tradition. It's a ceremony. It's sort of like a reminder of their heritage, the British heritage. They used to hunt. That's what they did. They didn't always go to the supermarket, and they didn't always have like a vegetarian substitute. So this is the way life was in the British Islands. People would just take a gun or whatever they had and shoot down animals. And a lot of people see it as a tradition. I personally cannot find anything more repulsive than taking a weapon and shooting down a helpless animal that doesn't have a gun to shoot back. I think it's horrible. But the British royal family, if we talk about traditions, what do you think about the very tradition of somebody bowing down to you just because you married a prince, or somebody bowing down to someone just because they were born in a certain family? That is the how much do you have to go back into hypocrisy and distasteful traditions? So I think the whole idea of the royal family is distasteful because it's the very essence of inequality. So if Meghan Markle doesn't like traditions that call for cruelty, how about the fact, what's more cruel than somebody having a better status in society, getting money from the public just because they were born in a certain family? I mean, that's the very roots of inequality, that's the most unfair, unjust thing you can do, is give somebody a certain status just because they were born in a certain family. And if many of us thought that royalty died with feudalism, or the feudal system in the Middle Ages, or the Russian Revolution ended that cruel tradition of a Tsar telling everybody what to do, if we thought the dictatorship is over, the royal family continues a certain type of dictatorship. They own a lot of land. They own a lot of property. The taxpayers pay for Eugenie's wedding, let's not forget. And yes, they bring in money. Some people argue they bring in money, but they actually, what they do, those children, those British children, school children, what do they learn when they see Meghan Markle and Prince Harry? They see people. Harry is a prince because he was born to a prince. He was born to Prince Charles, who was born to Queen Elizabeth, and so on and so on. So children, school children, see that there is a sort of like a caste system. Like in India, you're born with a certain status and certain privileges, and you own land, and you have a title, like you're a duke or a duchess, and the whole system is rotten from the core. Because if there's something we've done in modern times, is to get rid of all those entitlement people that are born into a certain socio-economic status, while others, some people are born into poverty, and these people are born into immense wealth. So Meghan Markle, if you want to revolutionize the royal family, forget about shooting down a poor chicken, pheasant. Why don't you start with the whole idea of the royal family, people bowing down to you in Australia, people making all that big fancy show, not because you've earned it, just because you married a person who was born to a prince. So this man, Harry, did nothing to deserve the status he has. He has done nothing to deserve his status, the money, the lands he owns. He inherited the title. So, and he's entitled to all of it by birth. So doesn't that contradict what Meghan is all about? I mean, you come from a family of slaves that made their way from being slaves. The worst thing they could do to a human being in modern times. And it was pretty modern in the US. Long after the British stopped slaves, they stopped owning slaves, America continued that. And they didn't stop till the Civil War. And let's face it, people still look down at people just because of the color of their skin, not only in America, but in Europe. So if we want to fight that tradition that people are born in a particular status, whether it's being white, whether it's being born into a certain family, that people are born entitled, then don't marry a prince, or at least say to him, you know what, I'm against royalty. I'm against people being born into a status, a socioeconomic status. I am against entitlement by birth. So why don't we just, you want to marry me? Fine. Stop being Prince Harry. Let's just be down to earth. Let's earn what we receive. So, yeah, she was an actress. She was playing in this TV show. And then people were like, oh, Meghan Markle, blah, blah, blah. And she did a blog. And that's a way to earn the public attention by writing a nice blog, offering content, using your talent to portray roles. Then you receive praise. That's fine. You did something for that. But just being born into a family and getting a castle, servants, entitlement. So let's not start with shooting that chicken down. Let's start by, and she had no problem cooking chicken, by the way. She loves animals so much. But as she said in the interview, when she said how Prince Harry proposed to her, I do remember she said these words, I quote, "We were cooking chicken." So Meghan the hypocrite, you don't mind eating a slaughtered chicken that probably was in I don't know, did you buy a happy chicken that was walking around happy before somebody took it and slit its throat? Or was it a factory chicken that was born just like Harry was born into be a prince? This chicken was born knowing its days are numbered and it will be killed. So you could eat its dead body and say, I cooked a chicken. But shooting a chicken that flies in the sky and maybe has moments of freedom, rather than an enslaved chicken that has known only slavery and has never known freedom, is not okay. Well, that pheasant is wildlife. It's wildlife. It's part of a whole ecosystem, whereas that chicken is not part of anything. It's part of a fabric. It's part of a factory raised chickens, or it's part of farm-raised chickens where they're raised to die. Whereas at least the wildlife had joy of being free, which is something that most human beings value. I'm sure you do, having the ancestry you have of being slaves, of being captured in Africa, being forced to come to America and work for nothing. And just because of the color of your skin, your ancestors, just because of the colors of their skins, they were born into a certain status and they said, okay, you're African American, you're from African origin, therefore you're on the bottom. And I'm white European, therefore I'm top. So when we talk about royal family, let's not forget that this is the very, very core. This is the very essence of the evil of entitled birth. So as a person whose ancestors were slaves, I'd be thinking you'd be the first one to realize that the whole idea of the royal family has to do with slavery and has to do with people being tied down to a certain role. So let's not talk about the poor chicken being shot down from the sky. First, be vegan. Don't eat meat. And you know what? If you marry somebody, you can't change them. Like, I'll tell you, giving an example. I don't like to talk about it, but I was married to a man who used to buy cordon bleu. I didn't know what cordon bleu is, but in Europe, it's a sort of horrible meat that involves both a pig, the dead bodies of a pig, and a chicken. I can't think of anything that caused me more distress than knowing that that thing was in the freezer where I lived. And I did not like that idea. Gradually, I convinced the man I married to buy animals that were slaughtered in a more humane way. And finally, I decided to be humane and just end the connection because there was just too much of a gap. Because I love animals. And of course, I'm a hypocrite because I have her on a leash, right? But, you know, if I let her be free, she might get run over by a bike or a car. So, but the point being is, we're all a bit hypocrites. We don't live our values to the end. But if you marry someone who has completely different values, the most humane thing you can do is just not to marry them. Or to say, this is me, this is you. You go and hunt, honey, and I'll go and be a vegan. But let's not be hypocrites. Let's not cook our chicken and then tell our husband not to hunt it down because it's cruel. Because when a bird is free and it's being shut down from the sky, it's way a better life than a chicken living in a crowded, overcrowded cage, or running around in a yard thinking it's free, and then having such a short life. I don't know how short the life, and being bred to be fat and plump, and then its body being eaten, and having not 1 minute of freedom in its short life. So if you want to Meghan Markle, if you want to talk about hypocrisy, let's start it. Don't marry people that are born into a status. That's feudalism. That's in the Middle Ages. Number 2, whatever happened to that rescue dog you saved and did a blog and didn't bring to England because you said there's not enough room in your 10, what is it, how many rooms, 10, 20, 30 rooms you have in your mansion? But there was no place for the rescue dog. So what message does that send people? You know, if you, with all the money and all the possibilities you have, couldn't take a poor little rescue dog from LA and you couldn't fly it to England, then what does it say to other people who might abandon? What is the message sent to people that have rescue animals and abandon them? So you want to be a role model? Why don't you practice what you preach? Don't cook your chicken, this enslaved animal, and then tell your husband not to shoot it, to shoot the pheasant, who is a cousin of the chicken. And number 2, don't marry into a whole system where people are getting money, lands, and benefits just because they're born into a certain family. That's the most unjust, unfair system on earth. And that's what America is all about. I don't want to be like America. But let's face it, America, what the American Revolution was all about, what the French Revolution was all about, what the Russian Revolution should have been all about, was about getting released from all those systems where a person was born into a certain status and didn't earn all those benefits as a result of hard work. So it looks to me like you definitely turned your back not only to your family, Meghan Markle, but to American values of freedom and justice for all. And going to England is where many people who came to America escaped England because they wanted to start a new society where people could be born free from titles, free from all those people that think they deserve to have land and money and a special treatment just because they were born in a certain family. So you know what? It's like, where do you start? If you start, picking what you don't like about royal family traditions, then you'll never end. So in my opinion, if you marry somebody with a completely different lifestyle than you, or certain things you live differently, you have to accept that person. That's what I would tell couples. Accept your differences, and don't tell the person not to do something because it irritates you. For instance, I don't like television. In fact, I hate television. But my ex-husband loved watching sports on TV. What do you think? I didn't tell him to watch sports on TV. I did suggest he go to a bar, a pub, and watch the games there, but that didn't work. And so I had to accept it. I had to accept a lot of things. And I don't think my marriage broke down because I wasn't compromising enough. Maybe I compromised too much. But I think at the end of the day, when you get married or you're in a relationship, just ask yourself, especially when you're going to bring up children and form a family, how big is the gap between our values? And will that person have to choose between his family and his wife? It's not going to be a very, very nice situation. So this is my 2 cents worth, or 2 pence worth, or what is it, 2 pounds worth, whatever the value of the money is in England at the moment, about the royal family.